afternoon and welcome. Thank you all for joining us today for what we see as a very exciting announcement. I'm Wilson Floor, the CEO for Richmond 2015, the organizing committee who is responsible for the planning, the organizing, and the operation for the UCI Road World Championships to be held here in September of 2015. Richmond was awarded the 2015 World Championships in September of 2011 in Copenhagen through the leadership of our mayor, Dwight C. Jones. His vision and his leadership were supported by many Richmond area organizations, including Richmond Region Tourism, the Virginia Tourism Corporation, Venture Richmond, the Greater Richmond Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Richmond Partnership, and very importantly, our area business leaders. Since that time, we've made over 100 presentations and speeches, and I will tell you the number one question we get every time, where are the race course routes? Today, we're delighted to answer that question. It is an enjoyable responsibility and a pleasure to introduce to you the person who led the way to win the bid to host the World Championships and who is one of our co-chairs of our board of directors, has played a vital role in helping us meet this important milestone. Please help me welcome our mayor, Honorable Dwight C. Jones.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Wilson, for the kind introduction. Mr. Governor, and to all of those who are present here today, this is a wonderful day for us, and we are looking forward to the championships, and we're looking forward to the races. Those of you who are familiar with Farmer's Travel Guide, they said that Richmond is a place that everybody in the world should visit in the year 2014. And this is their phrase, not mine. They said, while you were not looking, Richmond got cool. And yeah, that's worth some applause. And one of the things we're going to show the world is that we're cool enough to host the 2015 UCI World Cycling Championships, and we look forward to hosting this event next year. In December of 2010, we announced that we were going after the bid. In 2011, we received confirmation, as Wilson mentioned, and we are very excited to be the first city in the United States in 25 years to host these races. And we look forward to joining the company of great cities like Madrid, Florence, and Copenhagen as we show the world what we are able to do. And I saw many of our regional partners in the audience today. I saw persons from Hanover and from Henrico, and I'm thinking maybe if I saw them, I guess Chesterfield is here as well. And so we're going to show them the entire region. We're excited about this event that's going to have a $158 million impact for the state of Virginia, Mr. Governor, and will attract nearly 450 on-site spectators and an international television audience of some 300 million. Those are some strong numbers. And so we're looking forward to hosting these events, and we are getting prepared to be ready for the events when they come. And from the city's standpoint, we've already stepped up our preparations for these events because we see it as an opportunity not only to host the event, but to change the cycling culture around Richmond. And so some of the things we are doing, the Browns Island Dam Walk linking Browns Island to the south side of the river, we anticipate this being completed by 2015. This is going to allow cyclists and pedestrians not only to have another way across the river, but also a fantastic view of our great city. The city's bike master plan is headed towards completion in April, and there will be many infrastructure improvements that are going to take place by the time the races get here. The plan aims to include a dozen-plus projects for completion by 2015 that can be accomplished through our regular paving schedule, and also will include many new bike lanes. The Martin Luther King Bridge linking Union Hill, Churchill with downtown will be striped this spring with wide buffered bike lanes, making this a critical, safe, and easy path for bicycling. Also, we're excited about Cannon Creek that will be completed in time for the races. One of the things we want to do is to make sure that we educate our residents about the benefits of cycling from both a health and sustainability standpoint. And we are looking forward to making sure that our businesses know what their responsibilities will be, and we're hoping that our businesses as well as our residents will help us to get ready for the races that are just around the corner. And so I want to encourage all of our residents to get involved in both these races, the 2015 World Championships and the 2014 Collegiate National Championships, because they are just around the corner. We're asking our residents to volunteer by attending community sessions to learn more about how the routes will impact our local residences and businesses. We are just as excited as we can be, and we know that we're going to be ready. We welcome our guests who are here to see the courses as they have been outlined, and we look forward to working with them for the best experience that UCI has ever had when they come to the city of Richmond. And speaking of new residents in the city of Richmond, I have the honor of introducing our newest and most famous resident. He happens to live in the State Mansion, and he is the 72nd governor of the state of Virginia, my friend, Terry McCullough.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I got to first tell you how excited I am. As you know, I am now a resident of the city of Richmond. I have moved right down the street, that big house down the street, and I can't tell you how excited I am. And I want to thank the mayor for his outstanding leadership and the work that he has done, from going to the training camp for the Redskins last year, and then last night getting an important vote to move ahead on very important redevelopment. Richmond is a very cool place to live, Mayor. I agree with the travel guide, and I just want to thank you for your tremendous leadership. To Wilson and everybody else who is here with us, Brian Cookson, I think, welcome, who's come over from Switzerland. I thank you for all you have done. This is so important to the Commonwealth of Virginia. The idea that we will have 450,000 folks visiting the city of Richmond and Central Virginia for this is so important. I think of the economic impact of 450,000 folks here in our hotels, buying food, buying merchandise. In addition, 1,000 athletes, and then the 5,000 folks who support the athletes. It's going to be a tremendous economic boom to the city of Richmond, to Central Virginia, and for all of Virginia. But also, as governor, I think about the fact that 300 million folks will be watching these world championships on television. All over Europe, they watch these games like we watch the Super Bowl. And as governor, I think about the tremendous economic impact when they see Richmond, and they're thinking about moving businesses, they're thinking about expanding their businesses. They're now going to think of Richmond and Virginia because of these games. So as governor, I cannot thank everybody for making this very important decision. This is such a tremendous impact on the city of Richmond and the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I just thank all of you for your tremendous leadership. And once again, Mayor, thank you for your leadership. You know, a lot of people talk in politics. Mayor Jones gets things done. And I'm honored now as governor to call him my mayor. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Senator Mark Warner. I'm sorry I can't be with you today to help unveil the race courses for the 2015 Cycling Collegiate Nationals and the 2015 UCI Road World Championships. Now, I understand my good friend Mayor Jones is there, and Governor McAuliffe may also be attending. I'm particularly sorry because, as I think many folks know, I'm actually a biker myself, a huge fan of cycling, especially here in Virginia. And proud to be one of the actually co-chairs of trying to bring these world championships to Virginia. Cycling in general, and these events specifically, represent a tremendous growth opportunity for all of us here in the Commonwealth. Matter of fact, there's projected to be 500,000 on-site spectators, and that will turn into literally millions of dollars of commerce for our community and literally hundreds of millions of folks watching these events all over the world. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to showcase Virginia as a great place to live, to work, to visit, and to cycle. These events may also be a catalyst, I believe, for transformational change. More than a bike race, 2015 provides a unique opportunity to bring bikers to the forefront for recreation, transportation, fitness, but also to make sure that we can continue to attract folks from all over, not just the Commonwealth, but the country and the world. So congratulations to everybody today. I look forward to attending a lot more of these events, not only in 2015, but over the coming year. I am anxious to get out with all of you and cycle some of these courses myself. Again, congratulations. Look forward to getting with you soon.
Well, that's kind of a tough act to follow, the mayor and the governor and the senator, but fortunately I get to unveil the courses, so I get the meat of the presentation, if you will. My name is Tim Miller. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Richmond 2015. Richmond has played host to numerous international cycling events over the years, including the former Tour de Pont, which is the picture you see up here on the screen. Many of us involved in the planning of the World Championships were involved in executing the DuPont event many years ago, and we are really looking forward to welcoming back some of the greatest athletes in the world to Richmond in 2015. There are literally hundreds of people involved in the planning of the World Championships every day. But as Wilson said, I think it's important to understand that if it wasn't for the support and the commitment of Mayor Jones and the city of Richmond at the beginning of this process, this never would have gotten off the ground. And so, Mayor, again, I thank you for your support and steadfast commitment to making this event a success. We're here today to unveil the courses for the 2015 UCI Road World Championships, as well as the 2014 USA Cycling Collegiate Road National Championships. The Collegiate Championships will take place in just 2 months and will prove to be an invaluable test for everything that we're planning in 2015. This is an exciting day for many reasons, but quite honestly, I'm just excited to get this off my chest. For the last 2.5 years, every meeting that I've been to, every presentation that I've made, every party that I have been to, I've had to answer questions about what are the courses. And frankly, I'm just thankful that I'm finally going to be able to give people an answer. So let's get on with the reason why we're all here. The collegiate event, let's start there. The Collegiate National Championships feature 3 days of racing, including on Friday, May 2nd, both individual and team time trials. On Saturday, a criterium where we're actually going to add some Pro-Am categories to the criterium schedule, giving local, regional, and possibly even some national cyclists an opportunity to be part of the event. And then finally, on Sunday, we will complete with the road race. Then we move to the Worlds in 2015, which features 12 races over the course of 9 days. There are races for junior boys and girls, what are known as under 23 men, which are sort of halfway between the juniors and the elites, and then you have the elite men and women, or as we know them in this country, the pros. They all compete in the individual time trial and the traditional road race, and then the other 2 events that are part of the World Championship schedule are the team time trial. The team time trial is the only event where we have what are known as professional trade teams competing. and that's for both men and women. Now, before I show you the maps, I want to tell you a little bit about the process of designing these courses. After all, I assume you wonder what we've been doing for the last 2.5 years. So there are 3 key factors that must be kept in mind. One is the competition, one is tourism, and the other is impact. These things don't necessarily complement each other. So it's a difficult balancing act to keep this all together. Now, if all we had to worry about was the competition, this would be easy. But we have to keep in mind the areas that the city and the counties and the state want to show off to a worldwide audience. We also have to consider how local residents and businesses will be impacted during the event. We have worked hard to find that balance and to create courses that meet those objectives. It has been a collaboration led by our event partners from Medalist Sports in partnership with the City of Richmond, the counties of Henrico and Hanover, and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and all overseen by USA Cycling and ultimately the UCI. We have looked at this from all angles, considered countless options, and weighed multiple factors. We finally settled on what you're about to see. So without further ado, we're going to start with the team time trial.
Team time trial. The elite men and women will roll off from Henrico County at Rockets Landing. The course heads east out historic Route 5 along the banks of the James River. The opening kilometers are flat, scenic, rural roads, eventually giving way to narrow, twisty roads through Richmond National Battlefield Park. Teams will enter back into the city and through Shockoe Bottom, a hard ride up the 350-meter climb of Governor Street, followed by a final left. From here, it's a 680-meter false flat to the finish.
When I found out that Worlds was coming to Richmond, I was obviously really excited.
I have been to Richmond before a couple times. I've done numerous events here. Years ago, one of my first races as an up-and-coming cyclist was the Captech Classic, and I loved that race. It actually kind of propelled my career. I did very well at that race, and 3 months later I had gotten my first pro contract. So Richmond has always been near and dear to me.
Well, this is my first time really in downtown Richmond, so I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. After having driven a lap just now, it's pretty impressive and pretty exciting.
Virginia in general, I think, is one of the greatest places to ride a bike. I've been all over the world, all over the U.S., and it rivals any place I've been.
Henrico County is very excited to be sponsoring the first day of the 2015 World Championship. We love bicyclists in the county. We have walking trails and bicycle trails all over the county, and the area that's been chosen for the time trials of the first day is in eastern Henrico. And for Civil War buffs, it's going to be a great day. If you wanted to make a full day of it in Henrico, you could start off by having breakfast in one of their 600 restaurants in the county. Then you could take a walk or a bike ride through one of the many beautiful parks we have, particularly in eastern Henrico. The Battlefield Park area has marked areas where you can read the text to tell you what happened in that particular battle. There's some areas there that are great to learn what happened in their very interesting history in this area. And by seeing the bicyclist, I know this will encourage us to get out and walk more and bike more. But the people in Henrico County are very interested in this type of thing. The kids love it. We have bicycling to school days, we have walk to school days, so I know this will encourage them too to even be a healthier community.
So I want to just make a couple of quick observations about the team time trial course. And the first thing I want to mention is every single course during both events actually finish at Broad and 5th Street right outside these doors here. This building will obviously be a very important part of our overall operations for the event. So you will be back in here many times for press conferences following each day of competition. As I mentioned earlier, the team time trial is the only event that's contested by professional trade teams. All of the other events during the World Championships are contested by national teams. The course, which we drove this morning, is flat, relatively flat and fast. We will throw a few twists and turns at the athletes as they make their way through the Richmond National Battlefield Park. On that note, I do want to extend a special thanks to the National Park Service for working with us and allowing us to take the race through there. That is a great feature of the team time trial course, and I think is one that will really provide an interesting twist to the competition. So next up, we're going to take a look at the individual time trial for the elite women, the under 23 men, and the junior boys and girls.
Individual time trial. The individual time trial circuit heads west from downtown Richmond, where the riders will work their way over to historic Monument Avenue. After a 180-degree turnaround at the Jefferson Davis Monument, riders will speed through VCU and then cross the James River. After a technical turnaround, the riders come back across the river, eventually heading up the 350-meter climb of Governor Street. From there, it's a 680-meter false flat to the finish.
I actually really like these kind of courses. These are similar to some of the spring classic races in Europe. Yes, you have to have the physical ability, but there's a tactical aspect of it as well. So I get really excited about these races because I like these punchy climbs, but there's a bit more to it than just, can you climb?
You know, I think that the course is ridden a bit more aggressively in a circuit race because, 5 laps in, you've gotten to know the course pretty well, and people know where they can be out of the wind, where they can save energy, where they can move up easily. I think it's a good mix of a bit of everything, both challenging for the riders and, a bit of a showcase for the city as well.
The city is absolutely pumped about the idea of having UCI races here, and for Richmond to be on the world map to host this wonderful event is very exciting. One of the beautiful things about our city is our wonderful skyline. And when you cross the river, you have an opportunity to visualize our skyline. We have Class 4 Rapids, which is one of the only cities that we know of that has that right in the middle of an urban area. The river is a #1 asset for us, and we want people to enjoy it while they're here. Particularly for cyclists and outdoor enthusiasts, we invite them to take advantage of our paved trails, but also our unpaved trails. There are a lot of opportunities for exploration around the river, and we hope that people will take advantage of those opportunities. No matter what side of town you're on, you can find green space, a place where you can just take a blanket and take a picnic and have a lunch with your family. Oh, I'm really excited. I've been working on this for a long time, and I can't wait for it to get here, and I can't wait to experience it.
So a couple of comments on the individual time trial. This course will be used both for the collegiate championships in May, for the Friday individual time trials during the collegiate championships, as well as for all of the categories during the world championships, except for the elite men, and we'll show you the course for the elite men next. It is obviously a very urban and technical circuit that starts and finishes right outside of the building here. Everyone except for the junior girls will do 2 laps of this course during competition. And this is the first time during the week of the World Championships that we introduce Monument Avenue to the athletes and the Belgian pavers, which will pale in comparison to some of the other cobblestones that we're going to show them later in the week. And as was mentioned, this is the only course that crosses the river. And as you heard the mayor say in his comments, this is an opportunity to showcase our spectacular downtown skyline as they make their way back across the river and back into the downtown area. So with that, we'll move on to the individual time trial for the elite men.
Men's Elite Time Trial. The elite men start their race of truth 20 miles north of Richmond in scenic Hanover County. Rolling off from King's Dominion, riders will race on long, straight rural roads passing Meadow Event Park, birthplace of thoroughbred racing legend Secretariat. Entering back into the city of Richmond, the racers will go through Virginia Union University before heading back into the downtown district. There are many turns in the last few kilometers, the second to last onto the 350-meter climb up Governor Street. From there, it's a 680-meter false flat to the finish.
We spend most of the year racing in other countries outside of the U.S. It's always a really special experience to race in the United States with fans who speak English. To show them what it's like, you know, what we do. I mean, here in Richmond, I'm going to have hopefully all my friends and family out on the course cheering for me, but they don't really get a chance to see that up close and personal. And
you know, when it was first announced that they were going to have the Worlds here in Richmond, it was really exciting. But once you see the course in person, it all becomes like a bit more real, and that's pretty cool.
I think Hanover's excitement's a great word. I think ecstatic would be a better definition. Hanover is super excited because we do feel like this is obviously a world-class event coming to the region, and we're glad to be able to help host this event. And we're excited, and all the folks in Hanover are very excited that we're able to get this off the ground. Hanover's known regionally for cycling. Folks know that Hanover is a good opportunity for cyclists. I think one, scenic, which means a lot. I think we have challenging courses that people will set up, but something of this magnitude will certainly enhance the great biking experience that folks already have or cycling experience. And so I think that it's really going to showcase what Hanover offers to the cyclist. We have a world-class theme park in King's Dominion. I used to work at King's Dominion, so it's not only a landmark, but we've got a great opportunity for families to be with children. And I think the other thing that you have to look at is Hanover's a very historic town. We have the historic courthouse where Patrick Henry worked on a number of different cases and really gained a lot of fame. The historic Hanover Tavern. So Hanover's a place that I think folks can find. If dad likes history, mom likes shopping, and kids like entertainment, you can find it here in Hanover.
So as you may have noticed, the finish of every one of our races in 2015 shares the same final kilometer. And we measure things in cycling in kilometers, not miles typically. That includes the climb up Governor Street and the left turn onto Broad Street and a straight shot to the finish at Broad and 5th Street. So that is a commonality between all of the courses that you've seen so far, and we'll include the road race that we're about to show you. A couple of things that I will point out about the individual time trial. Obviously, we already mentioned this is only to be used for the elite men. Obviously, it is a point-to-point race starting at King's Dominion. This race will travel through 3 different jurisdictions, including Hanover, Henrico, and the city of Richmond, which gives us gives the police and the jurisdictions a great opportunity to work together to make this a success for everybody. And it also features fast, rolling terrain with a fairly technical final 2 kilometers to the finish. All right, and finally, we are going to move on to the road race circuit.
Road Circuit. Racers head west from downtown Richmond, working their way onto Monument Avenue, a paver-lined historic boulevard. After making a 180-degree turnaround at the Jefferson Davis Monument, racers will maneuver through Uptown and Virginia Commonwealth University. Halfway through the circuit, racers head down the cobbles of Shockoe Slip, which begins the lead-up to the narrow, twisty, cobbled climb up Libby Hill. After a quick descent, racers are faced with the 500-meter, partially cobbled climb up 23rd Street, a final 300-meter climb up Governor Street, and a left for the final 680-meter false flat to the finish.
First impressions are that it could definitely shake out to be a pretty exciting race. What's notable about it is that the two most difficult climbs on the course, the only two climbs on the course, come 3 kilometers from the finish.
Yeah.
The course is great. It's very spectator friendly. I mean, I think there's really no part that wouldn't be fun for a spectator to watch. If you're not going up, you're going down. There's a great kind of death hill, if you will, downhill.
You know, a lot of times American races are kind of labeled as like vacation races by the Europeans because we have big roads and it's pretty easy to navigate them in a peloton. And I think that's not really the case here, especially in the second half of the course coming into the finish. It's a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns. You know, the effect that that's going to have late in the race, I think, is going to be significant. For a race like the World Championships to be, you know, so close to your home is pretty exciting. Just the thought of racing up a hill like that where you're going slow enough on the hill that steep on the cobbles, it's kind of one of those out-of-body experiences with the people screaming at you, and I mean, I can just imagine the barriers, people just hanging over them, just cheering and getting rowdy. So it's going to be pretty wild, pretty awesome stuff.
I think that it's going to be absolutely wonderful to have people going up Libby Hill, which is a really scenic route in and of itself, but to have the races take place there, I really think is going to be something that will be exciting for all of the people who have the opportunity to see it. Shockoe Bottom has a wonderful vibe in and of itself, and this is just going to enhance the coolness of the bottom, and it's going to enhance the opportunity for people to see and feel what we know, and that is that it's a great place to hang out. It's been a few years since we found out that we won the bid for the UCI World Championships, and so we have put a lot of work, a lot of preparation into getting ready. We still have a few things to do, but at this point I'm confident that we're going to be ready for the world to come to Richmond for the best race that UCI has ever seen.
So I can tell from the reaction in the audience that we have some cyclists in the room that understand what some of those climbs will mean to these athletes as they contest this course. This circuit will be used for both the collegiate event and for the World Championships in 2015. And as you heard me say earlier, the collegiate event is a true test of our preparations and a very important test as we test a lot of plans and procedures, use it as a training exercise and a lot of other things to make sure that we're 100% ready for the event in 2015. You also heard it mentioned that this is a very spectator-friendly circuit, and that is true. It's obviously an urban circuit. There will be multiple fan zones set up around the course that will feature big screen TVs showing live closed circuit coverage of the race as it makes its way around, as well as food and beverage and other entertainment components in those fan zones. And then there are also multiple opportunities around this circuit to sell hospitality. You know, companies that may want to entertain clients or customers in a private tented setting. There are a number of opportunities around this course to do that sort of activity. Obviously, we had to feature Monument Avenue and Shockoe Slip in this course. It wouldn't have been Richmond if we hadn't included those in our circuit. So they will, again, enjoy the Belgian pavers along Monument Avenue, as well as the true cobbles of Shockoe Slip, and as well as cobbles, the very interesting cobbles going up Libby Hill. And so, you know, I think, as you heard someone say, the last third of this circuit is a very challenging part of the course. 3 climbs in the last 3 kilometers. That 23rd Street hill is about 19% gradient. It has been used before in a bike race. We used to use it for the Tour de Pont, for the Richmond circuit of that event. So it has been done before. So with that, you know, actually it does really feel good to get that off my chest. So with that, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce the president of the UCI, Mr. Brian Cookson.
Well, thank you, Tim, and hello, everyone. Governor, Mayor, friends. First of all, I would like to say how truly excited I am that the UCI Road World Championships will return to the United States for the first time in nearly 30 years. It was Colorado Springs in 1986, the last time we had our World Road Championships in the United States. So the courses that have just been unveiled are certainly worthy of a World Championships. I'm very excited by what I've seen today. The urban setting is very, very interesting. It takes in the famous Monument Avenue and two cobbled sections, including that wonderful Libby Hill climb, which would surely get a place in the Tour of Flanders if it was in Belgium. So Richmond has, of course, hosted cycling events in the past, such as the famous Tour du Pont, as we've heard mentioned, back in the 1990s. Was it really so long ago? And more recently, of course, the US Cycling Open, but perhaps nothing quite on the scale of a World Championships. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organisers, the City of Richmond, the local political authorities, sponsors, sporting bodies and partners who have thrown themselves behind the exciting project of hosting the world's flagship cycling event of the year, the World Road Championships. I know the list of people behind this initiative is very long, but I give special thanks today to Mayor Jones, to Governor McAuliffe, and Senator Warner, who we heard from earlier. Without their enthusiasm and vision, we certainly wouldn't be here this afternoon. So thank you, gentlemen. The support of USA Cycling has, of course, been essential, and I acknowledge the tremendous work and backing of President and Chief Executive Steve Johnson and his team at the Federation. My Management Committee colleague, Mike Plant, has also played a key role, bringing his stature and vast experience to this project. So thank you, Steve, Mike, and everyone at USA Cycling. You know, hosting a World Championship is a major undertaking. Let's not have anyone have any doubt about that. But it's one that can only benefit the city and the region. For 9 days, Virginia's capital will be in the limelight as images are broadcast worldwide to many millions of spectators, not to mention the hundreds of thousands of fans who will see the action live on site. Add to this some 1,000 athletes, 6,000 accredited officials, and more than 1,000 representatives of the media, and it's easy to understand the opportunity that these World Championships create. They will be an ideal occasion for the region to promote its tourism, its hospitality, and its local attractions. At the same time, the region will become known as a successful host of major sporting events. The experience of former hosts of our World Road Championships has shown that the positive spin-offs can extend well beyond the event itself. The economic impact will benefit not only the city, but also the greater Richmond area, and indeed the whole of Virginia. But events like this, of course, are not just about economics. They're about legacy, about encouraging health, fitness, and participation in cycling. You know, the mayor and the governor were joking a little bit before about not wanting to wear tight cycling clothing and all the rest of it. And, you know, I can sympathize with that. But, you know, you don't have to wear spandex, and you don't have to have a carbon fiber bike to enjoy cycling. You can just go to your local bike shop, buy yourself a bike for a few $100s, just wear whatever you like, and you can ride around the countryside and have a great time. If you want to become an elite competitor, that's fine, but cycling's a sport and pastime for everyone, and this kind of event really encourages everyone in taking up that kind of activity. That was a little bit off my script, so I need to... Next year's World Championships will, of course, be a particularly hard-fought competition. Not only will our famous rainbow jersey be at stake, and everyone's heard of the yellow jersey in the Tour de France, and the rainbow jersey is the other iconic symbol of our success in our sport. So not only will that jersey be at stake, but it will also be one of the key events for both men's and women's qualifications for the Rio Olympics in 2016. So as well as being one of the most important and significant cycling events of the year for the riders, UCI World Road Championships are also a magnificent showcase for our sport. which, I'm happy to say, despite the reputational damage of recent years, is a sport that's growing immensely in popularity and is taking, I believe, successful and positive steps to improve its image. As many of you know, cycling is indeed under new management. Before being elected as president of the UCI in Florence last September, I made a number of pledges, which I just want to refer to if you don't mind. And in the 5 months since, I've taken up office in Switzerland, and I believe we've already come a long way to achieving some of the goals that I put in mind for our sport. And if you'll permit me, I'll briefly touch on a couple of these things, which I think are relevant to these championships and this assembly here today. You know, women's and men's events both form equal parts of these championships, and one of my first actions as UCI president was to make sure that there was at least one woman serving on all of the UCI's commissions, our expert committees that work on all the different branches of the sport. You know, it should go without saying that women are an important part of our sport and should be properly represented both on the bike and in the committee rooms and in the administration side of our sport. And I'm proud that our first woman UCI Vice President, Tracy Gaudry, also heads a new UCI Women's Commission, and I know that great progress will quickly be made in this domain. The recent registration, for instance, on the UCI Women's Road Calendar of the new French event, La Course by Le Tour de France, shows that women's cycling is moving in the right direction. It's also clear that there is support for women's road cycling in the United States, as there has been for many years, with 4 UCI registered teams and 2 events on the UCI calendar. And I'm certain we'll see these numbers continue to grow. Another important thing that I want to briefly mention to you is the Cycling Independent Reform Commission. I don't want to go into the detail of the problems that we've had in our sport. I guess everyone in this room will be familiar with them. And we're not the only sport that's had those kind of problems. But we've established now a new commission that's going to look into those things and will give its findings in less than a year's time. I'm proud that in the few short months since I was elected, we've already been able to establish this entirely independent body. We have 3 absolutely excellent appointed experts who will be investigating the historic doping problems in cycling and the allegations that the UCI was somehow involved in previous wrongdoing. Once light has been shed on the past, we'll be able to learn from any mistakes that were made and ensure they're not repeated. I think you'll all agree that that's an important part of the exercise. The Commission has appealed for testimonies, and I know that together with all cycling stakeholders, we will build a better future for our sport if people are willing to participate in this important exercise. So let's move off that now. And let's just say that progress has also been made on a number of other issues, including, for instance, the Equipment Commission, which is going to modernise our technical rules to help the cycling industry push forward technology whilst maintaining the primacy of the athlete, him or herself. So, I truly believe that cycling is entering a new and positive era in which Richmond will play an important part. The city and its surroundings have a very rich past, and the 2015 UCI Road World Championships will write another page, a sporting one, in the history books of this beautiful region. Thank you very much, Richmond. I look forward to seeing you again in September 2015, and I'm going to hand over now to Steve Johnson, President of USA Cycling. Thank you.
This is my wife's idea, technology. You see how it works. President Cookson, thank you so much for your remarks, and thank you for your confidence in the community of Richmond to host the 2015 UCI World Championships. And before I get started, I really have to call out special thanks to Mayor Jones, who's been here from the beginning, along with the local organizing committee, Tim Miller, Wilson Floor, Lee Cowan. You guys have all been 5 years of work to get to this point, and it hasn't always been a smooth road, and it hasn't been easy. So thank you so much for your belief in this event, in this sport, because it's going to have a profound impact on American cycling. As has already been mentioned, it's been almost 30 years since the professional World Championships was held in the United States. And by the time the event actually gets here, it'll be only the second time in 87-year history of the professional cycling championships that we've held this event in the United States. So it's been a long time, but the timing of the event could not be more appropriate. Over the past little more than a decade, since the turn of the century, literally, American cycling has exploded. We've seen more interest in road cycling, which is what this championships is, than any time in the history of the sport. We currently have more professional men and women racing at the top level of the sport than we ever have had in the history of American cycling. And this is very profound. Additionally, our organization, USA Cycling, is going to support more than 100 American men and women in our development programs that are based in Europe this year to provide for them the pathway and the opportunity to transition from amateur cycling to professional road teams. So, you know, the reality is, and the unfortunate situation still exists, that this is predominantly a Western European sport. And as a result, American men and women, as Ben King mentioned in his comments, really don't get a chance to compete in front of hometown crowds. And in fact, only once in the last 85 years have professionals been able to do that at a World Championships. So they're rarely seen and rarely get the opportunity to showcase their talents to the American fans. So as a result of this event, we have the opportunity to bring top-level American talent and top-level world talent to Richmond, to the United States, for them to showcase their event in front of our national media, where it will get a play that it just doesn't normally get in this country. So we're going to be able to see American men and women competing on home soil against and with the world's best cyclists in 2015, which is a very rare opportunity, as I'm sure you will agree. But that's great for the American riders, and it's a wonderful opportunity for the men and women who make the World Championship team. But from my perspective as an individual who's responsible for growing American cycling and developing more internationally successful American athletes, this is even a greater opportunity. And why is that? As I look at the challenges of growing the sport of cycling in America, growing and increasing the number of successful international athletes, I look at several challenges, and not the least of which is access to the sport. Again, it's primarily a Western European sport still at this phase of its history, which means if you're familiar with our domestic sports, football, basketball, baseball, you want to be successful in any of those sports, you have to go to America to compete. Well, for cyclists, if you want to be successful, you have to go to where the top level of racing in the world is, and that's Europe, Western Europe. And as I'll mention in a minute, we've actually solved this problem by moving all of our development programs to Western Europe over 14 years ago, where we now support hundreds of athletes every year who compete for extended periods of time in Europe. But there are also some more interesting and even more fundamental challenges, and it gets to the social context of sports. As you know, American athletes have a lot of opportunities, and they're pulled in a lot of different directions by our more traditional sports. And as a result of that, it's a challenge for a sport like cycling to really get our arms around the potentially future internationally successful athletes and get them tracked onto the sport. So what really happens is the sport needs to have awareness, it needs to have heroes and role models, and it needs to have cachet. So when you're an athlete considering all the opportunities and options that you may have for a professional career, you're not only going to need access, but you're going to have to be aware of the sport. You're going to have to be essentially driven by a hero and a role model. A poster of an athlete on a bedroom wall is one of the most important development tools in sport. But it's also got to be cool. And you can think status in your high school, status in your hometown, all those things are absolutely critical for an individual to make the decision to enter into and pursue a professional sport opportunity. And that's what the 2015 UCI Road World Championships actually bring to America, they bring to Richmond, is this beautiful spectacle of, I think, one of the world's most exciting international sports. And it puts it in the front yards of hundreds of thousands of Americans. And it's going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of Americans in real time and also on television, as we've already heard, worldwide by over 300 million people. But my interest is the American audience and the fact that it's covered by national and local media. And this event will end up on the sports pages, which are still the most read sections of newspapers, both local and national, showcasing the sport, making people aware, making it cool, as Mayor Jones has already indicated. That's so important as individuals consider what they may want to do with their future careers if they have the potential to be professional athletes. So the 2015 UCI Road World Championships are going to make cycling more cool in America than it already is, which is going to drive more people into the sport than we already have. But there's an interesting kind of unexpected or unintended consequence of this as well, and it's already been mentioned, and that's health and fitness. I think one of the largest challenges faced by developing and developed world countries in this world is, of course, the issue related to the costs of management of lifestyle-related diseases. Obesity is now a primary risk factor recognized by the Centers for Disease Control. The cost for managing inactivity in Americans and other developed countries is phenomenal, and it's continuing to grow. And one of the opportunities we have, I think, is to use cycling as a treatment for this problem that the country faces, and is only going to get bigger. The challenge, of course, is getting people on bikes. And kudos to Richmond and the state of Virginia that's done so much for building cycling infrastructure, sharrows, the trails, pathways, parks. All that kind of stuff is important, safe routes to school. But you can build all those you want, but you're not necessarily going to get people to actually use them. And the reason is they won't use them if it's not cool. And especially if you think about it, you have kids, I have 4, try to get them to ride a bike. If it's good for them, forget it, it's impossible. But if it's cool, the job is done for you. And that's another opportunity we have with the 2015 UCI Road World Championships, is to showcase this sport to all of America and, in fact, get people to understand how exciting it is, how cool it is, and ultimately get them to ride a bike, which at the end of the day is going to save lives. So not only do we bring the cachet and the beauty of an international sport to America with these World Championships, but we actually create motivation, I think, and interest in a sport that will save hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans' lives over time. So again, President Cookson, thank you so much. Mayor Jones, thank you for all you've done to make this event a reality. And thank you, Richmond. I look forward to seeing everybody here in 2015, and we'll get the governor to wear shiny black pants. Thank you.
All right, almost done. So as you've heard today, we've been overwhelmed by the positive response we've gotten from those who've seen the courses and those who we've talked to about the courses. While our main focus to date has been on the courses related to the World Championships in 2015, we're equally excited about the opportunity to host the Collegiate National Championships this May. While we've been unable to unveil the details of these courses until today because of the thorough process that Tim's explained, we have been working closely with the neighborhoods and other institutions along the courses, and will continue to do so over the next few months as we build up to the Collegiate Championships in May. As part of this effort, we're planning a series of events that we're calling the Prologue events for neighborhoods and groups along the courses as an opportunity for them to come learn more about the courses, ask questions, understand the impact. We want this to be a truly global event where Richmond can show its unique mixture of beauty, history, creativity to a worldwide audience, and everyone's help is greatly appreciated through this process. Speaking of help, we've already had an overwhelming number of responses from the community for volunteers for both events. And effective today, we're launching a formal program to get more volunteers engaged for both opportunities. And effective today, we're launching a formal program to get more volunteers engaged for both opportunities. To volunteer, actually step back, the Prologue events, these are some of the locations and dates. All the information is available on our website. So the volunteer opportunities, if you go to richmond2015.com/volunteer, there's a form where you can schedule a specific time slot and specific role for the Collegiate Championships. And if you're interested in volunteering for Worlds in 15, there's a separate registration where you can express your interest and be part of that as we move forward here. So before we wrap up, for the members of the media that are here, we're going to go to the room just outside here for any questions you may have with the speakers. Finally, thanks to the governor, Mayor Jones, Brian, Steve, and everybody else that's been a big part of making this happen to date. And thanks to all you for coming out today. We'll see you in May at the Collegiate Championships. Thank you.